Hello, welcome everyone. This is Monique Gallagher. This is our part 2 webinar on Cybernetic Transposition Revealed, how to manifest your intentions fast by resolving self-defeating unconscious habit patterns. And this is probably one of my most favorite topics to teach, especially in the class, because people start to see immediate results in their life in such profound ways. The class is about achieving objectives, but that takes a little bit of time. When you clear a blocker, which you're going to learn about today, you'll find almost instantaneous results in how you emotionally feel and how you're proceeding through your life. So let me begin with this. Do you long to have the success that allows you to realize your most cherished dreams? Be who you want to be, achieve a goal maybe, create the wealth you want, master a skill you've always wanted, or experience the abundance that you know that's just right there, but it's not manifesting in your life right now. Perhaps you want to do something as simple as learning to dance, or as extravagant as travel the world, or maybe you just want to spend more time with your family and loved ones. Success means something different for everyone. So no matter what success means to you, cybernetic transposition is a way to guide you to start to work more effectively with your unconscious. And so you can start to manifest your intentions, achieve the objectives and goals that you want for your life, whether it's financial, emotional, or spiritual, no matter if it's for your business, your career, or your relationships, or even if it's for you to improve your appearance. It doesn't matter. To become successful in any area of your life that's important to you, you must use your thoughts as a successful person and resolve these unconscious self-defeating habits, which we call blockers, that are separating. Let's move on to our next slide here. Is notice when a blocker is operating. I'm going to give you some signs and indications so you can watch it in your life. Topic 2, you're going to learn about these really powerful blockers that are grouped in your unconscious, which I liken to a master program. They keep repeating themselves. Topic 3, learn a little bit about me. Topic 4, cybernetic transposition and getting an insight into these different blocker clearing processes. Topic 5, what to expect after a blocker is cleared. And topic 6, a new way to manifest your intentions. And topic 7, a no-risk way to participate in the upcoming Highest Potential Training 16 program. All right, let's get on to slide number 3. Whoever has felt this? You just have to keep pushing yourself. You're tired or something's not working and your creativity is out the window, but you keep forcing and you keep pushing. Can anybody relate to this image? You can type in the chat bar here. I thought it was a pretty good one because there's this little part of us that says, no, if you just push a little bit harder, it'll work. You can do it. I don't know about you, but I've noticed with my students, it just doesn't. It just causes you to feel tired, feel more discouraged, and you end up giving up hope and become a puddle. Used to do it, but can't do it anymore. Amy, I know. Yeah, there comes a point, and I don't know if it's age or if it comes a point where we just say, hey, we can't do it in the old way anymore. So you're going to learn how to do things in a new way that's much more efficient, much more effective, without waking up your blockers and activating blockers. So here's something, and I invite you to think about this. You don't have to believe me. In fact, you don't have to believe anything I say. Try it. See if it works for you. And really, this statement explains how we can reprogram our mind and body and think of it as a machine to achieve the goals we want and stop doing what we don't like, especially in the way that isn't working. And if you think about your mind and body combination as a computer, and that it can be programmed. And the one thing driving it is survival. Now, these core programs that were inserted in your unconscious at the time you were born or in school years, well, those programs have a higher priority. And as your body grows, the programs take in input and data, and it becomes more and more significant, more and more important that it protects you from failure, from discouragement, which is fine. But by the time you're about 12 years old, those programs have really got a lot of power, and they can be self-defeating because they're protecting you from things that may not happen, but they get triggered. Little things will happen that will wake up these core programs, which we will call blockers, and then they're off to the races. And you no longer are in charge of what goals you want to work on. You're no longer in charge of making decisions in important areas of your life. These blockers are in charge. So the process that you're going to be learning about today, and hopefully you'd like to participate in the upcoming program, is you're going to learn how to tweak or rewrite these existing programs, insert new ones, so you can essentially be in charge of what this amazing machine, this human body that you've been gifted with, the human brain that you've been gifted with, can do for you. And guaranteed, you've only seen a little bit of what's possible. But with working with your unconscious, you're going to be able to almost like to have this huge panorama open up for you, and so much more that you're capable of, that you had no idea, and you've never been trained to have access to that. But what you're going to learn in this program that we're going to be talking about at the end of how you will be able to do that. Let's go on to slide number 5 here. So blocker alert. How can you tell when a blocker has been activated and when it's making decisions and in charge? Well, these are some funny ones, or maybe not so funny ones when they've gripped you. So you make a decision, you want to go on a diet, you want to fit into a swimsuit for the summer, and then all of a sudden you find yourself eating everything that's sweet in the house. You're eating chocolate and sugar cereal, and you're like, wait a minute, I just made a decision to go on a diet. And interestingly enough, when you made that decision, those blockers went on alert and starts the cravings. Or how about this? You had a conversation with someone and you keep rethinking it and you keep saying, I wonder if I said this, I wonder if I did that, if it would have turned out differently. You overanalyze. Or you decide to set a budget and you've finally got your spouse to agree and you've detailed it all out on paper, and then the next day you're out and about and you go on this shopping spree. And you're like, what happened? I just set a budget and I really want this. Or you make a decision to move forward on a project. Maybe you want to clean out the garage. And Saturday comes, you wake up, and the whole idea of cleaning out the garage goes out the window, and you go to the coffee shop. What is it about procrastinating? Blocker alert. Or maybe you just need some space. You want to spend a couple hours alone, and your family loves to be around you. So maybe you start an argument, and now all of a sudden you've got some free time. There's better ways to do it. The blocker finds an easy way to do it, but there's better ways. Or maybe you're applying for a job with a boss that you thought was going to be your ideal boss, but this boss doesn't respect or value your skills. Oh my gosh, you're in the same situation, the same kind of job, but just a different boss. Or maybe you find yourself caught in this loop of the same relationship partner, and only the name and the face changes, but the same dynamics, the same patterns are turning up. Well, that's a blocker alert. It is making decisions for you, and it is choosing the outcome that you're going to experience. So let's talk about topic 2, this blueprint blocker, this master program. Well, blueprint blockers are really a program that's set to run in your unconscious to protect you. But what it's doing in that protection is creating the same unsuccessful outcome. So I like this imagery of a blueprint and this idea of building a new life and creating a blueprint to build a new life or a new area of your life, like a dream house. So to build a dream house or a dream job or a dream relationship, you need a way to design, especially to put new instructions in your unconscious and communicate it to the builder, because your conscious mind's not the builder. Your conscious mind's the decider. Hey, I want a new job. Hey, I want a new house. I want to move. But it doesn't do the building. Your unconscious does the building. So I want to give you a story that might bring this a little bit, to home, what this master program could be like in these blueprint blockers. Meet Mary. Mary's a smart teenager. And Mary's in math class one day, and she gets a problem wrong. And the teacher goes off at Mary. Mary doesn't know the teacher just had an argument with her husband. And the teacher says, you're never going to be good at math or science. You just don't think in the right way. So Mary doesn't think any more about it. She goes home. She's like, boy, I had a bad day at school. Hold on just a moment. I'm seeing something in the chat bar. Just a moment here. So, Eric, a wish list. Okay. All right, Eric, I'm going to open up at the end for some questions, please. So if you can wait for that, and then I'll answer it. All right, so back to this. So now Mary makes this decision, or her unconscious makes the decision. I'm going to do the bare minimum. I'm just going to get through high school. Well, now comes opportunity for college. And she's drawn to the idea of being a doctor. But she looks at the course requirements. She sees science and more science and math. And she's completely unaware that her unconscious made a decision she's not good at science because of what her teacher said, even though she has above average intelligence. And she excels at anything that she tries to do. Well, this blueprint's been so etched, and each time she's faced with a way to go in her life, she picks the road that fits this blueprint. So she makes decisions that, no, I'm not going to be a doctor. I'll get married and have children. She loves having children, but there's a part of her that feels unsatisfied. There's a part of her that knew she could have made a bigger impact in the world. But she decided, her unconscious decided, that she wouldn't be able to survive the curriculum that it would take to be a doctor. So this is what happens over time when we've got this master program that's creating this blueprint in us. It's made the decisions, and we're no longer in charge of what will happen and the outcome that we want. So each small decision made by the unconscious, unbeknownst to you, it draws you deeper and deeper into creating this repetitive blueprint. So anything that gives you the perception of something that you've experienced in your past wakes up the blueprint, and it creates this bondage, that it creates this continual repetitive program, this master program. It doesn't have to be that way. But until this point, you didn't know how to change it. So how do blockers steal your creative power? They're sneaky. They come in and they fill you with doubt. They make you believe that it's not going to work out even if you try. They can divert your attention just when you're about to succeed. And they can cause you to do the very things that will sabotage rather than to bring success to you. And it keeps you settling for what you have right now. Frustrated, I'm sure. We're going to talk about one of the most important blockers that create almost an invisible ceiling, which you don't see, but you feel the impact of it. And they cause you to maintain a status quo. So even if you do make more money, you can overspend. I want to speak about research that they've done with lottery winners. Lottery winners in this country can make, they can cause about $1 million, $2 million or more to be instantly attracted to them. So all of a sudden their bank account fills up with all this money. Their life radically changes in ways that they're not prepared for. What they've noticed is that they've studied lottery winners and over a 2-year period, and within 2 years, a huge percentage of lottery winners have spent all of their winnings. Some actually get divorced from their partner, and many actually go into bankruptcy. And you think, that's impossible. Because if you're sitting here right now and you're thinking, well, money is the issue, that you don't have the money, and if you had the money, you'd be able to do whatever you want. Well, that's what these lottery winners thought. But unless they change the master program, the money that comes in, they'll spend it in useless ways and actually be far worse off than they were before. So how do you change this? What is this unconscious performance limit? Let's talk about a few types of performance limits. Here's some common ones. It's associated with income generation. A program gets inserted in your unconscious that says having money over a certain amount of money is unsafe, just like the lottery winners. So they spend, they make decisions and they blow it. Or maybe there's fearing success. And in the unconscious is a program that says if you become really successful, then people are going to want something from you. Or maybe you'll lose friends because you're going to change. Success is going to cause you to change. And so there's trust issues. Oh no, I can't do this because I'm going to lose my friends. Or maybe that your unconscious has figured out that if it gives you a sore throat right before an important speech, you won't do it. And that speech was so important to you. That opportunity was so important to your success, it takes you out completely. So how do these performance limits get in place? It gets in place because there's a link that got made. Somehow a wonderful success happened, and soon after that, something painful happened. So your unconscious goes into protection. But the good thing is, through working with the cybernetic processes, you're able to figure out that moment in time when you made that decision or your unconscious made that decision, and you unravel it, which is why these blocker clearing processes are amazing, because they take you back to moments in time when your unconscious made a key decision. Let's talk a little bit about me, just a little bit. I've been working and teaching cybernetic transposition. And if you don't know about that, I invite you to watch the webinar I taught last Wednesday. We go into a lot more detail about that, what that is. In this class, I really want to give as much time as possible to focus on the clearing processes and also about the upcoming program. Stuart Lichtman, who's the developer of Cybernetic Transposition, invites me to teach his classes when he's not available. The way that I seem to be able to guide students to learn more quickly is I've learned how to use psychic listening so that when someone has a question, I can intuit and use the psychic listening powers to figure out what is it they're not getting and teach it in such a way that they can understand it. And a lot of the classes that I teach are designed from that place of psychic listening, because as a student of cybernetic transposition, I made so many mistakes. I wasn't achieving my objectives. I wasn't able to get the clearing processes working for me. And I figured out ways around that, workarounds. And that students who get to learn cybernetics from me, they're able to benefit from all those different ways I tried to teach myself, and so that you can learn first time. And I have an ability to tune into people. And that's especially helpful when you're working with me privately. And at the end of this webinar, I'm going to give you a special invitation to have a unique one-on-one session with me to help you identify what is most important for you to manifest at this time and how to do it. So I can help tune people to what it is you really want. And then this intuitive support that I can give you, even in a group program, I'm told, that I can intuit what someone's not getting and I can alter it on the fly. Ever since I was little, I've been lit up helping people free themselves from relationships that aren't fulfilling, from work that's not fulfilling, and have the confidence and belief in themselves that they can change it. And I love doing that. And finally, when I found Cybernetic Transposition, I was so excited that I actually had a system to teach people, a method that they could then apply to their life. So when I wasn't there, they could keep themselves unstuck and freeing themselves. So let's talk about the core of this webinar. Topic 4, Cybernetic Transposition Blocker Clearings Revealed. We're going to talk about the 5 core processes that you can learn and apply at any moment in time to get you unstuck, to get you on track, to get you clear, your head above the fog, to be able to move forward. Base reframing process. This is where you learn how to revise your past perceptions. You're not changing history, but your unconscious doesn't know that. In a sense, you are changing history, which causes your future to be different. Number 2, free-form writing. Get to blow off steam and you get to this inner peace. 3, subpersonality negotiation. This is probably the most powerful tool you'll learn because you can create self-empowerment teams that run automatically in the background in your unconscious to learn new ways, new skills, maybe to be a better speaker or to be a better parent or to be more organized or to make more money, create more success naturally. So number 4 clearing process, the true self-clarity process. And it helps you to make instant decisions that are more aligned with what's going to give you more success in the future. And then 5, cell-level memory healing. This helps you to erase the tapes of disappointing history. All right. So let's move on to slide number 12 here. So how blocker clearing helps you with whole brain harmonizing. Last week I went into this in more detail, but I think it's worth recapping. This is really what makes Cybernetic Transposition profoundly unique as a goal achievement method. This whole brain harmonizing is a way to get the 4 main parts of your brain communicating with each other and in sync. So if we think about the brain, this is an analogy. We think about the brain in 4 parts. You've got the left brain, which deals in words and logic, and it's listening to my words right now. And then you've got the right brain, whose focus is to watch patterns and symbols. And there's a natural intelligence that goes with that because it says things like, well, if this happens, then that will happen. Sometimes it's wrong, though. These are the perceptions parts. And then you got the midbrain that processes emotions. And most of us are driven by emotions. Most of us make decisions based on emotional reactions. And that can be for good, but sometimes that can be for not so good. If you've ever gotten angry and you've done something or said something that's been really sabotaging, well, that part was leading and it wasn't listening to the logic part, or it wasn't watching the logical or the patterns, or maybe your brainstem was physically stimulated. You stubbed your toe and it's bleeding and now you're full of emotion. Where if all of these parts are harmoniously communicating with one another, you're more present. But most importantly, that when they're in sync and they have the same agenda, you're able to manifest your intentions, because we're going to use this in the cybernetic transposition training on your behalf consciously when you set a goal, so that each part of you is in agreement and it wants what you consciously want, and you know how to clear the conflict or the disharmony or the competing agendas that these four parts may have. And that's what the clearing processes are. And cybernetic transposition enables you to do this, and it can bring you such results as to take your breath away. Like, wow, how'd that happen? That seems impossible, almost like magic. And sometimes it can feel like that. Let's talk about the first process, the base reframing. Rewrite your perceptions. This process enables you to make active and actual what's promised in the movie Back to the Future. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I really like it as an analogy here. If you remember the main character, Marty McFly, and he went back into his history when he was a young child, and he was, I guess, a teenager at the time, and he was able to meet his father. And his father was faced with a situation whether he was going to either fight a group of bullies or he was going to back down. Well, Marty McFly's watching this scene happen, and his father chose to back down. And Marty McFly had the most interesting thought. Wow, I wonder if this is why Dad has not been successful in business, and why we're struggling, and why we're not living in a really nice house. Could it be because he backed down from his fight? Whether if he didn't back down, he'd feel stronger and more confident and more capable? Could be. So Marty McFly goes back to the future, to the moment when his father was faced with a decision whether he's going to fight the bullies or back down. And he coached him into fighting. So Marty McFly goes back to his teenage years, his current life, and suddenly his whole life changed. He's living in a brand new house that's beautiful and big. His father's making good money, and his father's, has his shoulders back. He's proud. He's strong. And I think that's a stunning example, because as you create a new way of seeing what's happened in your life, you put it in your unconscious, and your unconscious is very malleable, very open to change. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. So you can put in that new perception, just like Marty McFly put in a new perception and capability in his father, and it completely changed the outcome of the father's life. So you put in new commands, and it gives you instructions on how to handle a future situation, like Marty McFly coaching his father to stand up to those bullies. So let's talk about clearing number 2, freeform writing, release the frustration. Have you ever had a moment when something happens, someone says something, and you get triggered, and you're feeling your blood rise, and you are now full-blown in an argument? And after you calm down, you're like, why did I say that? Why did I do that? And you're frustrated. You're beating yourself up. Well, this process enables you to put a pause button on these key moments in life, and allows you to blow off steam in a safe way. And you can release the stress. We all get put under stress, but don't we want to be under conscious control and not allow a blocker that could potentially break up a relationship or get you fired? I'll give you an example here. This was years ago. A client came to me privately, and I can share this story because it's been permitted. But this client wanted to get a new job, didn't like how the boss was treating her. And this thought, I want a new job, I want a new job, I want a new job, actually caused her to get fired because the boss was feeling she doesn't want to be here. She's not cooperating, she's not getting along with the team, and it caused her to be fired. So she got a new job, right? She was unemployed, but it didn't happen on her time frame. So through the process of learning how to use these, work with the unconscious, she set an objective. And she manifested a wonderful business that enabled her to be home with her children, and she loved it. So think about this. If you were able to put a pause, you could actually be in charge rather than circumstances be in charge. Wouldn't that be a lot better? Using the free-form writing combined with some of the objective setting processes, you can do just that. So let's talk about the next one, subpersonality negotiation. We're all made up of many different parts. We have these different roles that we take on. We have these different thoughts. We have a child part, a friend part, a parent part, an employee part. Well, sometimes these parts have contradictory notions that they want to achieve something in a particular way. And another part doesn't want to do it in that way. And it's almost like they can start to war. They can start to argue. You don't hear the argument, but you can feel the impact. And this image that I got is that almost like we're trying to herd cats. We're trying to get these cats in a group to take a bath. Cats don't like water, and you know that, right? So this process enables you to get all the cats facing in one direction and marching into the pool for their bath. It's a graphic example, but it can feel like that because you're taking these warring parts and you're getting them to agree to do something in a particular way, almost like a project team. Here's a student story, a past participant. He's an accountant and he's got many clients he does tax returns for. He had so many projects piling up, tax returns that he had to do, and he wasn't getting them done until the last moment. And then he'd get exhausted. He was always tired. Well, after building a team in his unconscious, he found himself focusing on completing the projects ahead of time. And he noticed himself getting twice as much done in a day. No more distraction or avoidance. And he did this automatically without even thinking about it because he built a team in his unconscious to help support him in an area of his life where he kept getting frustrated. Let's talk about cell-level memory clearing and erase the tapes. When we have a belief that's deeply programmed in our unconscious, it's not accessible in our brain. It actually can live in the cellular structure in our body, as odd as that may sound. Because it got in when we were very little, almost pre-verbal. Some common cell-level memories can be lack of boundaries, low self-worth. And in that area of your life where that's running, it could always feel like a struggle. And you can never get on top of it. You could blow money, you could keep picking the wrong relationship partner or the wrong job, or you stay stuck in a job where you really want to be an entrepreneur, but you never seem to have the confidence to go out on your own. Here's an example of a student completing a cell-level memory clearing. She took the training to increase her income in a part-time business because she was on an exit path out of her marriage. She had 2 young children, so she needed to find a way to provide for them. She didn't feel loved in the relationship, and there wasn't a real good sense of communication and compatibility. Well, after clearing a couple cell-level memories around her lack of trust in men and elevating her self-worth, this was amazing, and I was just so touched what happened. She came on the next coaching session, and she said, "My husband and I had the most amazing conversation." And she said, "I realized I picked a really good man. And he was exactly what I wanted as a husband." So she started to be able to receive the love that he was trying to give her. And amazingly, after that, she found the perfect job. She was invited to work in the family business, and she really loves it. So through clearing cell-level memory, she realized she was already in the most amazing, beautiful relationship. and she got work that she loves. She's deeply fulfilled. So cell level memory clearing helps you to erase the tapes, gives you a fresh start really in a sense. Let's talk about this next clearing process, the true self clarity process, making better decisions. Now this could be a good example or analogy of this could be, say there's a project manager and he's torn between finishing the project that he's working on, taking a vacation with his family because he's really tired, or he wants to build a house for himself. Well, those are all three great projects, but they're pulling him in different directions. So he needs a way to come up with a plan to be able to do them all and what to do first. So he can use this process to access his natural intelligence on how to problem solve, how to prioritize. And what this process does, it helps you see three perfect for you alternatives to resolve a situation or a problem and be proactive. And you can start to make decisions from a less emotional and more reasoned part of yourself instead of reacting in the moment, because you're harmonizing those parts. Remember the logic part, the emotional part, the symbol and pattern part of your brain, and then also the part that feels things deeply in the body. Well, through this process, you're harmoniously getting them all in agreement. So then, you imagine, I bet, that you can then take action, easy and effective action, because there's congruence, there's harmony in you. Yeah, I want to do that. And you find yourself just naturally doing what needs to be done. So let's start, now that we've talked about blockers, I'd like you to start to feel what it feels like. Topic 5, when you have cleared a blocker and you're free to proceed. So imagine what would be possible for you if instead of the fog and instead of the noise that is in your mind when you're thinking about doing something, that there is a peacefulness, almost like a light turns on inside. And you know what the next step is. And you've got the courage, the conviction, the confidence, and the know-how to move it forward. Imagine what operating at that level of congruence and peacefulness, what would be possible for you? I really like this graphic here. Untrained people who don't know how to work with their unconscious, can feel like this. They see potholes, they see challenges, and some people would say they're being pessimistic or negative. But all they see is problems in front of them. So they don't even want to start something new because it's just they're going to be dealing with so many obstacles. Well, people trained in how to directly deal with their unconscious can create a habit of optimistic response. So no matter what happens, because life's not perfect, they have an empowering way to explain setbacks or obstacles to themselves. So they're still free to proceed. And if I like this imagery here, when you're working with the unconscious, you can travel fast like a newly paved road. And I don't know, I think some of you actually are living in Germany at the time, but I remember when I was working and living in Germany, I was stunned that the Autobahns, you could travel at any speed you want. There's no speed limit. So I'd like you to start to think about that. Working with your unconscious, there can be no speed limit. You're trained to think in limited time right now. But once you set an objective that your unconscious understands, and there's harmonious agreement with all parts of your brain, there's a freeway, an Autobahn, that you can travel at the speed to manifest whatever it is that you're trying to manifest at a much faster rate than if you're trying to pave the road before you even set your objective. You're trying to get all the lights green before you say yes. You don't have to do it in that way. So let's now move on. I'm going to pause now for any questions before we get on to this next topic. If you've got a question, post it in the chat bar here, I do have one here from somebody. This is Eric from LA. That Eric is just asking me to describe what a wish list is. A wish list, and that's what you learn in the first session, is it helps you uncover what this master blueprint blocker is and resolve it. You think of a wish list as it's, whatever you want to achieve. It's not like that. This wish list is trying to get you to see what deeply held blocker patterns you have that are going to stop you. And you can choose to resolve it. And then you're going to learn the clearing process on how to resolve it. So a wish list is uncovering things from your unconscious that have already been blocker laden. They're covered over and they're just like these ball and chains. I think the wish list idea sounds wonderfully inspiring, and it is, because once you clear those blockers, then your wishes become true. Your wish is my command. And that's really what your unconscious wants to do for you. Like there's this little genie in the bottle that you rub, and instead of rubbing it, you're writing it on a piece of paper, using the processes, using the system to get what you want fast. So does anybody else have any questions that I answer before we go into the detail of topic 6, keeping on track, achieving your goals and objectives? If you do, feel free to type them in. This is a perfect time for me to answer any questions you might have as we go through this. So in this first session, you project into the future, and you get to see the most stopping blockers in your life and clear them before they stop you. And the process there is the wish list process. And then next, you establish a communication portal to dialogue with your unconscious. You actually establish an imaginary point in your body, an anchor point to communicate, where you've not had access to this before. And I think it's what makes Cybernetic uniquely different from other systems, that it knows how to establish this in your body. And then next, you get all parts of your brain in harmony. So you're harmonizing your brain to get your unconscious working on your behalf. And you're learning a process to understand how you best learn a dominant perceptual modality. And it's quite enlightening. And it's a tool to help you harmonize those parts of your unconscious mind and your conscious mind. Then you get to select an objective, extremely desirable objective to focus on that's right for you to achieve in the course. And that's really the whole point of the course. You've got 17 weeks to set an objective that maybe you think is impossible right now, but you set it and you just clear the obstacles that come up along the way. And at the end, we get to celebrate your success together. And then 5, you assemble a super success team that works in your unconscious to help you achieve objectives and just make your day way more successful, and helps you clear these blueprint type failures and reframe them so you're free to proceed without triggering fear of failure. So many of us have this fear of failure or fear of success, and it's not such an easy blocker to clear, but by building your success team, you find yourself uplifted and moving forward on things without having to clear all these blockers. Imagine if you had to clear every single blocker you've got in your unconscious. Well, it could take a long time, but having your success team working on your behalf, it enables you to have this like success-minded team. And so you see things differently. You feel more empowered and more creative to be able to move forward on your day-to-day activities or your objectives. And then 6, you learn how to identify the exact amount that your unconscious has said is safe for you to earn and how to radically elevate it. On average, it's about a 30% increase in your income earning ability that your unconscious feels you're worthy of achieving. And you learn how to clear that and radically elevate it. And then, number 7, using your success team, you're able to dialogue actively with your success team on a moment-by-moment basis. So if you feel a blocker has started to be activated, you'll know exactly which clearing process to use, cybernetic clearing process, and how to do the clearing process. Your success team becomes an expert on the processes and an expert on what you need to do to move yourself forward and stay in action. Then you learn how to communicate in your unconscious in 3D detail what you want to achieve in the class. So it knows fully and how to target it for you. And it will stay focused on it. Once you program it, it'll stay focused on manifesting it for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, while you're working, while you're washing the dishes, while you're watching TV. It's working to figure out how to attract it to your life and to figure out how to get your conscious attention to clear the blockers that have stopped you in the past. You learn how to regularly check in with your unconscious through an energizer process once you've targeted your objective, and it gives you some messages on, wow, this is what you should be doing today. You need to drop that project. This one's the most important. So you get very practical, real-world guidance in that process. And then 10, you learn how to establish a feedback loop. And what I mean by a feedback loop is that through checking in daily with your unconscious, you're going to be able to guide it to create more successful outcomes for you because you actually define for you to your unconscious what success is. So I'll give you an example here. I use this process a lot when I was first teaching live. I would teach a class, and at the end of the class, I would write down on a piece of paper all the things that my unconscious said I did well, successes, quotes, and all the things that I didn't do so well, I could have improved upon. And I was able to consciously give direction back to my unconscious how I wanted those failures to really have happened. So I can give live feedback. Well, the next time that someone asks me a question, this is how I would have liked to have responded. And it caused me to become a much more effective speaker. You can use this success failure instruction with your unconscious in many ways. That's just one. And then 11 here is you get to master the cybernetic transposition blocker resolution processes, where over time you can do it in a moment's notice when you know you're hit with a blocker. You can give your unconscious guidance so that the next time it doesn't happen in the same way. You don't get triggered in the same way. And it can start to be automated in the background. And then 13, and by the way, these pretty much track the 17 sessions. So these are what you're going to be covering in each one of the sessions. But I wanted to describe it in a more practical way for you. So session 13, roughly step 13, is you get to heal and resolve scarcity blockers. Now, what are these? These are if you've ever experienced a panic in your life, a trauma in your life. Well, that gets deeply etched in your unconscious. And it creates this downward pull. And this downward pull can be like a magnet. It keeps pulling you down, pulling you down. And through healing these blockers, you're able to create almost like in this hot air balloon, you get uplifted, which is an emotional state that's positive and uplifting rather than fearful and expecting the worst. Because I don't know about you, but I've seen people do this a lot, is they expect the worst to happen. Maybe it's in a business meeting or in a relationship, and they find it unfolding. because their unconscious thinks that's what they want. Because what you focus on grows, but you learn to heal this part. And then in 14, step 14 or session 14, if you're someone who's sensitive to your environment or sensitive to other people's energy, you're going to really like this one. You get to assemble a psychic energy protection team. And it works on your behalf and your unconscious to alert you and protect you from energy that's not right for you. Or maybe you've drained yourself and you've lost a lot of your creativity. Well, by putting the psychic protection team in place, it will alert you when you're draining your energy or when someone else their negativities negatively impacting you. And it helps protect you as well. So you can go into situations where previously you may have been sensitive and you get pulled off track. You find yourself not getting pulled off track, and you can be more loving, more present in the moment. And then in step 15 or session 15, you are getting a chance to review with your unconscious. And if you think of your unconscious as your employee and your conscious mind your management, you get to give feedback to your unconscious how well it manifested your objective. And this is a live dialogue that you get to learn from your unconscious, that maybe you missed a blocker clearing opportunity and you'll be able to clear it. And you're able to then get your unconscious's participation and support in manifesting bigger and bigger objectives. And that's the goal setting or objective setting process. And then lastly, 16, you learn how to set multiple objectives so they're running all at the same time. And how I use this is I set one in my personal life and I set an objective in my business life. And so I'm able to get twice as much done and manifest twice as much at the same time. And then step 17 or session 17, you learn how to make the processes more intuitive for you, how to simplify it so that instead of following the processes as they were set and designed, they're more natural to you. All right. So let me pause now. Do you have any questions on the different steps or the different sessions? You can type it in the chat bar, or you can unmute yourself, and I'm happy to answer it. Pausing now. All right. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. Okay. So topic 12, well, that's topic actually 7. There's a no-risk way for you to participate. I'm confident that once you learn how to do these processes and you have an experience of them, they will more than meet your expectations and you'll be fully satisfied. I have people say that this has been a program that is the last program that they will ever take because they've finally got the tools and the ways to achieve what they want, and a way to get the harmony in their unconscious mind and create more peace in their life and joy. But however, if you decide, within 30 days, you've participated in the classes, you've done the assignments, and you feel it's not right for you, you can get 100% full money back refund. No questions, no delays, no problems. Because I think sometimes, at least for me, I need to try something before I know it's right and before fully committing. So now I'm going to share with you what you'll receive by participating in the upcoming Highest Potential Training 16. But before I do, is there anybody who'd like to say anything, or if you have any questions? All right, so let's move on to the bonuses. Okay, so first, what you get is there are 14 unpublished ebooks by the developer of Cybernetic Transposition. You can't find these on Amazon. They're only available through a program such like this. Books that teach you how to build your success team in your unconscious. It teaches you how to raise your unconscious performance limit, how to properly write objectives in a way that your unconscious understands, and how to clear implants, these energy thought forms that we absorb from others. And so these books are for you to keep so you can refer back to them when you want to apply the processes at later times in your life. You get 2 private sessions with me, which can be, you can use these to uncover the main blocker in your life, like this big blueprint blocker, or maybe you can use it to make sure that the objective you want to work on is the one that's most right for you to work on at this time. And I use my psychic listening abilities to really tune into what's right for you. And then you can actually get the language completely written in that session with me. You receive the Inspiring Success Journal to track your growth in the program and see a reflection of how you're growing, how you're progressing. And it's a wonderful tool to actually increase productivity. I'm noticing that clients say that they get more done in their day and the things that are more meaningful for them. Then you get a bonus, which 1 month after the program ends, it's a Q&A session. So you get to review what you've learned, and then you can come back to me with questions, anything that I can do to support you. I'll answer the questions, clear some blockers, and for that matter, you can ask any question at all that you need to stay focused and accomplishing your goal. All right. So here's an early registration value. If you choose that this program is right for you and you enroll by May 14th, you get to receive some bonuses. The Fast Money Book 101, and it teaches you how to set a basic achiever objective, and you get instant access. So as soon as you enroll, you'll get an email back and you can start listening to that. And it really enables you to get a jump start to dive into the program that much more clear on what's important to you, and you will have already had the opportunity to clear some blockers. You enhance your ability to translate the intuitive guidance from your unconscious and start to increase your luck. So for some people, what they do is they do this program and they set an objective, because you learn how to set an objective, a basic objective here, to generate the resources to be able to enroll more fully in the upcoming 17-week program. You also get a bonus that your live-in relationship partner can get in free, and the value of that is $2,195. So enrolling by May 14th, you can receive all these bonuses. Now there's a special one for the webinar attendees only, anybody who enrolled to watch the webinar. You enroll today and you can receive a private one-on-one session with me, which is very powerful here. Because what can happen is after listening to this webinar, your blockers can get on the alert. And the blockers can say, well, it's not a good time to do this. I don't know if it's going to work for me. And it's going to inject you with a lot of doubt. So you're not governed and steered by your blockers. I want to encourage you to enroll today, and actually ideally before the webinar ends, so you can take action, go to the site, and that way your blocker has not derailed you. That's one of the things that can happen when someone starts to learn about the power of these processes. The blockers realize you're going to be free. And they don't want that. They love being in charge. And I'm not sure exactly why, but they do. So in this private client questionnaire session, we will work together to identify the blueprint blocker area of your life that's dragging your entire life down. that if you were to resolve it would radically uplift every area of your life. And we'll walk through how to set an objective on that area and how to apply it to the program for your best result. So again, this is the webinar only special for anyone who has opted in to see the webinar. So you'd probably like to know the price. Well, my hourly rate for coaching people one-on-one is $250, and for live business coaching, I charge much, much more. So the course that you're going to get with all those 17 items that I described, live webinars, personal support, could actually cost more than $6,000, but it doesn't. It's way more affordable. You can enroll today for 4 easy payments. You can spread over 4 months for $595, or you can save $185 by making one payment of $21.95. You can also invite a friend and get an additional 50% off. But it still is going to get better because I'm going to give you my strong full satisfaction guarantee. You can take the first 4 sessions of the program, put it to work, apply it to your life, download all the written support, try the Fast Money book, that's yours to keep, and you get my support in the online forum. You can fully participate. And if you find that it's not for you, at the end of 30 days, you can unenroll. You can request a refund without any pressure or demand. All I ask is that you share with me what came up for you. Maybe it was a blocker. What was it that made the program not a fit for you? Because that way I can refine it.
Money.
So just you get 17 live webinars, and there's a lot more activity and back and forth in the live classes. I can help guide you through a blocker, answer your questions. You get all weekly key concepts, which will summarize what we're working on. You actually get the slides, and you get a lot of support material, step by step, how to do the processes, my intuitively designed forms. You get 2 one-on-one private sessions with me, as I said, to help you identify the objective you want to work on, or maybe clear a cell level memory, one of those big ones that have stopped you. You get the 2 coaching only sessions, and those are group ones, and those are where I will support you in clearing a stubborn blocker, and everyone else gets to learn from how to do as I'm doing the process on you, they can learn. You can save by enrolling now with one payment. You save $185. You can bring a friend maybe, save 50% off the second seat, and take full advantage of the full satisfaction guarantee. And again, you get to participate fully in the first 4 sessions, download all the written material for those first 4 sessions, take a full 30 days to test drive it and see if it's will work for you and is what you'd like. So here is the URL, and I'm going to put it in the chat bar here so you can click on it, but you can read it right now as well. It's http://hpt16 bonus. You can choose your payment option, start immediately, and receive instant access to the Fast Money Book 101 program so you can start to achieve your basic objectives and get yourself really aligned for when we start. You now understand the value of working with your unconscious mind. And you've seen the power of blocker clearing, and that it can be highly rewarding and life-changing, let alone achieving your objectives. And remember, the program really is guaranteed. If for whatever reason you're not happy, let me know and you can get everything back. And now I'd like to share with you just a little client success story. This is from Kimberly Jesse. She's a Hollywood publicist. And Kimberly's problem was she had a lot of interest in her business and she was attracting some high-powered clients, but they just weren't signing the contract. She had actually been learning and working with the cybernetic processes for many years, but it just wasn't clicking for her. She wasn't understanding it. She wasn't getting much success with it. So she started working with me and I started teaching my unique way of teaching the cybernetic processes. And within 2 days of starting the program, she attracted this client who had kind of come before, but there were so many obstacles. The client wasn't willing to sign the contract and pay for the services. So within 2 days, the client signed a contract and paid her $25,000. So that may sound nearly impossible, but it can happen that quickly. Because again, when you've got the harmonic agreement of all parts of your brain, there can be nothing stopping that manifestation, just like with Kimberly. So I'd like you to imagine you're 1 year old, and imagine your mother had to convince you of the importance of learning how to speak. Well, she didn't have to, obviously. Thank goodness, because you were pre-wired to learn language so you could communicate with her and the rest of your world. But what if she had to convince you? And then imagine that you were allowed to refuse to learn how to speak. What would your life have been like, mute and deaf, unable to understand others, unable to communicate your needs and wants to other people? Well, the value of learning to hear and speak to your own unconscious mind is that essential. It's essential as when you first learned how to speak, your first language. So I ask you, don't let your blockers decide. Try the program with no risk to you and get access to this unique set of tools so you can achieve your objectives, manifest your daily intentions, effectively communicate to the part of you, your unconscious, that knows how to manifest in the most direct and easy way possible. And once again, restore access to your unseen power, the part of you that lives in your unconscious. This highest potential training really is something you simply have to experience to understand its effectiveness, which is again why there's a 4-week money-back guarantee. Try it. You deserve this gift. And thank you for joining me. Again, register today and you will get that special webinar-only bonus, that one-to-one session with me. And you can complete a very detailed questionnaire. I can help identify your key blockers. And at least register by the 14th so you get those bonuses. And find a friend to do it with you. It's a great bonding experience. Bring your relationship partner, bring your best friend. So here's the URL again, http://tinyurl.com/HPT16 bonus. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I look forward to sharing these amazing processes with you and seeing what's possible in your life and sharing successes. Bye for now.